Hi guys, thank you for joining my session. Regina Goodman, I'm here with SnapLogic. And a little bit about who we are before I jump right in. SnapLogic is an AWS Accelerate partner. We have a strategic collaboration agreement. Essentially, our teams work very closely together. And our mission is to drive the cost of the human cost of system integration to zero. Now, what do I mean by that? I think our CEO, Gaurav Dhillon, summarized it best years ago when I first met him, and he said, you know, we have made a low-code platform in order to help lower the cost of integration, and yet it's not easy enough. I want to be able to walk into a conference room and just say, SnapLogic, connect my organization, and have it be done. And I have to tell you, in the last year, we've gotten significantly closer to that vision. We're going to get there. We're not only an integration platform, but we've also been AI pioneers in the integration space. So in 2017, we first added AI into the product to start coaching people through designing their integrations. We built out an entire machine learning functionality in 2020. Last year, we added SnapGPT, which was our first foray into utilizing Gen AI to help our customers. And then we turned around and we took all of our learnings from that and built that into the product to help our customers be able to take advantage of Gen AI within their own products and business architectures. So enough about who we are. Let's jump into optimizing data workflows for AI. So we all know the impacts of poor data workflows on our AI projects. The one we see most often is failure to launch. That means we don't have the right data, the data's not in the right state, and we're not able to start the project. We have these great ideas, things that we want to implement, and our data does not support us getting there, and yet we don't have the ability or know how to improve that. Maybe we've got the right data, but we're getting inconsistent results. We get something working, but it's not reliable, or the performance starts to degrade. There's increased latency over time. And then there's scalability issues as our processes grow. And yet, companies are repeatedly still in a situation where they're saying, we just have legacy systems that don't work for this modernization. The number of requests that they have to improve their data workflows outpaces their data team's availability, or they don't have the right skill sets to even get there. And the way that this ends up looking within those organizations is they end up with redundant or unnecessary processing steps. They're still doing manual data handling rather than automating their journey. They have inefficient data storage and access methods, inadequate scalability, poor error handling, or unidentified and uncleansed data that they're unable to identify and make usable. So at SnapLogic, we look at this across multiple pillars. We're all familiar with, data integration, our classic ETL and ELT processes, but then there's our application automation as well. Now, one of the things that we're finding is an integral part of our Gen AI processes is actually API management. So controlling, logging, observing, and governing data, whether it's moving within pipelines within our systems, or whether that's the data being sent to and from the LLM calls that we're making anywhere in our organization. So we're going to start with real-time data cleansing. So not waiting and trying to address the mountain. Faster data preparation and integration into all of your diverse workflows. And I'm going to start by introducing SnapLogic's Agent Creator. Now, Agent Creator allows you to visually create and deploy agents. It makes them safe and secure. It adds observability to improve your agents. And it avoids being locked into a specific architecture and having to completely redesign if you change, say, a vector database halfway through. SnapLogic's Agent Creator empowers enterprises to design, deploy, and manage AI agents that can connect to existing data sources, get AI data ready, and work with varying levels of autonomy, and that's the key, to complete their objectives. And so that kind of takes us into what exactly is an agent. I know last year, everything from a chatbot, to a website was considered an agent. We have very defined views on what that is. The first thing is it is autonomous, so it is designed to perform tasks, and it's given tools and it's given skills that it can autonomously plan to utilize in order to solve requests or problems with which it's presented. So to make that a little bit more clear, we could say that we started with assistants, right? And with an assistant, and that's when we started seeing chatbots being made available, you might say, how do I mow my lawn? And it's going to return an answer. And then we moved into apps. And that didn't really require the human interaction, but it was still following a rule-based workflow. So I might use an app and say, mow my lawn, and now it's going to do that for me, but I've given it very specific instructions to do it. With agents, I give it access to my tool shed and I ask it to maintain my yard. And I don't have to tell it when the shrubs need trimming or when the grass is too tall. I've simply given it the tools and the autonomy to accomplish that task. So we're going to jump in and give just a really quick demo of what makes an agent an agent. Before I jump right into the product, let me talk you through a little bit what the architecture of the demo looks like and why we're doing it. So we're going to start with some business questions. Now, in your regular enterprise, the people that need your business data, the people who need to make changes to support the way the business operates, may not have the technical skills to work with the back-end databases. So we tirelessly build out tools, reports, for them to be able to accomplish these jobs, which require things like data warehouses, update logic, comparative analytics, and we're constantly trying to anticipate what those needs are, not getting all of them, and going back and starting over again. And at the end of the day, really they're looking for very different results depending on what those business changes, questions, or analytics needs might be. What we're going to show you here is how introducing a database agent, giving it the tools to be able to interact with our data, allows us to handle this once and have that be an adaptable process. So what we're going to show here is an e-commerce database agent addressing a mobile phone retailer. And we're going to start with a user prompt. Could be anything, it's just natural language. Send that through a planning agent, and that planning agent's going to have access to a query agent, which is going to generate queries, an execution agent, which can make updates, and an analysis agent, which can analyze more complex requests. In order to do that, I'm going to switch over to So when I ask for the iPhone 13, what we're going to see is, and we went ahead and we saved the results here because I can run this 5 different times, and the agent might choose different paths. In the path that we were going to show, the iPhone 13 price is returned, as well as the price for an iPhone 16. Now we've attached a summarization agent, which goes through all of the conversations and steps back and forth between the agents and the planner. And we realized that when I send this iPhone 13 request, I've concatenated the names, which is not how they're stored in the database. So this actually takes multiple steps to do something that would be a simple query if I had given it the right information. First, it comes back and it tries to run a query for exactly what I asked for, which returns no results. It gets a little bit creative on the second step and returns another query it runs that looks for everything in lowercase and maybe iPhone 13 anywhere in the name. Also, no results. Finally, it just looks for anything that says iPhone anywhere because it realizes it's not finding anything with what I gave it. And that's why it returned to us the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 16. Now, the way this looks from an architectural perspective is you can see again, we've got my Streamlit interface coming in, my interaction assistant, and my interaction assistant now sends my prompt to my planning agent. Now what you can see here is my planning agent is running in a loop. That's how it was able to continue to use the tools available until it was able to get the answer that I needed. I've given it a data analysis tool, which is a very simple, almost summarization and analytics tool. The execution tool just takes the query that is created and runs it. And the query agent is actually another process exactly like this, which has its own planning agent, and it returns schema, it returns metadata so that it can build out custom queries as it runs. Now, you might be wondering what this has to do with data workflow optimization. So this is one very relatable example that I think we can all say we've experienced. But when it really comes down to being able to build out these agents with any tools that you can provide, and then being able to have controls in those tools based on building them yourselves with simple pipelines. Agents give you the ability to add dynamic adaptability within your data workflows. So what does that mean? That means improving your existing ETL or ELT. Let's go ahead and put these agentic processes directly in that flow of data. And now if you haven't seen this particular misformatted data within your stream before, you don't have to go back and update it. That decision is being made live. Your data ingestion for your AI projects so that there's less failure to launch. Application to application integration. Let's clean the data as we're sending it between systems so that we're not always coming back at the end and re-cleaning the same data. And even initial data ingestion. So what types of agents might those be? Well, we might set up a data assessment agent and give it tools like anomaly detection, consistency checking, data profiling, or data outlier detection. And then actually create standardization agents that have the ability to take that information and standardize your data. You know, predictive filling, data enrichment, real-time cleansing, without having to identify every potential scenario up front to know that you have to handle it, but being ready for it in the event that it does arise. And with that, we feel like the future is already here. It's just not been evenly distributed, and this is exactly what we feel like we are in the position to do by taking these processes and really democratizing them, making them more flexible, more adaptable, and more accessible. Now, before I wrap up, I did want to take a minute and see if anybody has any questions.